So today I want to dive into a hot topic, and that is why there's so much interest around multifamily residence. You know, we got people converting duplexes into triplexes and triplexes into fourplexes. Garden suites here in Hamilton. You know, it's insane, but it's exciting at the same time. So why is there all this buzz? Well, first off, investors are looking for ways to maximize rental income, of course, right? And to improve the overall property's cash flow. And think about it. It's pretty as simple as more units equals more rent, right? But it's not just about the cash flow. You know, in a city like ours here in Hamilton, where affordable housing is in high demand, these types of properties are absolute gold. And they offer a solution for the housing shortage for sure. But also, unlike dealing with multiple single family homes, here you have multiple income streams under one roof. So it makes sense that these investors are looking to build these fourplexes, right? And if you want to learn more about how they're actually doing it and watch these conversions, there's lots of videos on YouTube, and I'll provide the links in the description below. All right, let's move on. What I want to talk about is what the local and provincial governments are doing to help make this happen. So first off, I'll talk about locally. Here in Hamilton, you can Google this, and there's lots of information on it. But we have the Reimagining Neighbourhoods project. So Hamilton is basically in the midst of reimagining neighborhoods across the city because residents like us need more housing options, especially with newcomers coming into Hamilton as well. You know, the city's residential zones are gearing up to support all of this need for housing. And so if you think about it though, Hamilton has over 50 residential zones stretching from Stony Creek all the way to Dundas. And currently it's managed by 6 different zoning bylaw documents. And Hamilton is moving towards a more unified approach, creating one set of residential zones for consistent application throughout the city's neighborhoods. So what can you expect to see? Well, you're going to see smaller homes popping up in backyards. Yep. These are your garden suites or laneway suites, or larger homes being divided up into several units, along with the emergence of new townhouses, triplexes, and fourplexes that are on your street, right? And along the edges of your neighborhoods, you're going to start seeing denser housing types like stacked townhouses or mid-rise buildings. And folks, this isn't just an idea. Some of these changes have already been greenlit by the City Council to diversify housing choices and improve affordability. Next up, I want to talk about provincial. So provincial, we have Bill 23. Bill 23, also known as the More Homes Built Faster Act. This act isn't just a piece of legislation, it's a pivotal shift in how we approach housing development here in Ontario. So whether you're a homeowner or an investor, this is something you're going to want to pay really close attention to. So let me break it down for you. It's pretty straightforward. The name pretty much gives it away. It's about building more homes faster. And Ontario has a target of 1.5 million new homes by 2031. So this act is Ontario's bold step towards tackling our housing shortage. Will that work? Not sure, but they're doing something, which is better than nothing, right? So how do they plan to use this? So really, by simplifying the red tape, and that means making it easier to get approvals, easing zoning laws, and cutting back on lengthy environmental assessments. So in simple terms, it's about removing the hurdles that slow down home construction. So that's what local and provincial governments are doing. But now let's talk about the financing, right? So let's get into the nitty-gritty of financing these investments. So here's the catch. Even though the government is paving the way, both local and provincially, traditional lenders haven't quite caught up yet, right? So getting a mortgage for a fourplex isn't the same as your typical home loan, and many investors are finding themselves hitting a wall with conventional lenders, and here's why. So if you're buying a fourplex in Hamilton, the first thing you're going to want to do is have your lawyer search the property to ensure that it's registered as a legal fourplex. So if not, this could be an issue and the lender may not approve the purchase. You're going to want to do this. So that said, let's assume it is. We have many lenders that offer what they call small rental programs. And these are straightforward programs. You'll be able to finance the purchase for up to 2 to 4 units, right? So that takes you right to the fourplex. And if it's under $1 million, you can put as little as 20% down, which means this is an insurable deal, which means you're going to get access to some of the lowest rates. And if you actually plan on living there, you can put this through as a standard insured deal, which means you don't need the full 20% down. The first 500K will be at 5%, and any amount above that will be at 10%. Now that's if you're buying it. Now, if you're planning to buy a duplex or a triplex and converting that, so doing a full reconstruction, converting it to a triplex to a fourplex, well, this is a whole other category, and most traditional lenders won't touch it. That's the problem, right? Is you're going to have to turn to either a commercial or private lender for that type of project. And so I'm not saying you can't get it done. You can get it done, but you got to remember, when lenders are lending you money to buy a property and you're about to tell them that you're going to get this thing, they're not going to go for that, right? So now there's also been a ton of hype around laneway or garden suites, and although it's nice that our governments are removing the red tape to get these things built, the problem is most lenders will not lend you the money to build it. Pretty straightforward. But that's not the bigger problem. The bigger problem, I think, and this is my opinion, it's based on the appraisal value of the property, because lenders haven't figured that part out yet. So for example, let's say, you're buying a property with a garden suite and the seller is including that garden suite in the value of the total sale. So if you put in an offer for $800,000 and the appraisal comes back at $700,000 because they're not going to include the garden suite in that appraisal amount, well, then you got to come up with that $100,000 difference. And that's where we could run into issues. So in the end, we need our government to also chat with our lenders and make sure everyone is aligned, because obviously there's still a pretty big gap on the construction side and of course on the laneway and garden suites. Well, I hopefully you found this helpful. If you are in the market for a mortgage, whether it be for construction or whether it be for a purchase or whether it just be a refinance, then reach out and I can talk to you about your options. Dwayne Cavanaugh, bye for now.